And hi, everyone. This is Gary Monterosa in a most unusual setting. We're doing What's on Tap from my dining room. And I have a feeling this is probably not going to be the last time that we do this. It's just the way things are in 2020. And who would ever thought it would come to this? But let's just hope and pray that we all get through this and we survive it as best we can. And I'm really honored to have my closest friend in the industry with me here today. And that is Mark Haynie. Mark Haynie, of course, is a founding member of the New Jersey Association of Beer Writers. You probably recognize him from the columns that he writes. He writes for the Mid-Atlantic Brewing News. He's a New Jersey columnist. We'll get into that because that's a Herculean job on its own. And locally in Southern New Jersey, you know him as the beer guy in the Press of Atlantic City. And of course, you were the editor and partner of New Jersey Brew Magazine, and you're the author of a book as well.
Yes.
That's a headache, isn't it? Just putting a book together.
Yeah.
I've gone through that, and I'll tell you what, after one time, I think that's probably going to be about it for me. Anyway, Mark, we have to start by talking about the obvious, and that is the effects of the quarantine and COVID-19. Obviously, the short-term effects, if we zero in on New Jersey, have been diverse. At first, breweries were allowed to do home deliveries, and that was stopped for, I guess, about a week or so.
Probably,
and it's since been started up again. So what's your take on where we are right now? And let's zero in again on New Jersey. That's our home.
Right. Well, I mean, it seems everybody seems to be surviving anyway. I don't know for how long. I know a lot of breweries, especially the local ones here, are backed up with a lot of beer. And, the outlets obviously are few and far between if you don't go and pick it up, or if you don't get them to deliver it, or, there's really no place you can go and sit down and have a beer anymore. So, the short-term effect is obviously going to be hurting their business. As long as we can get people out there to stop by and pick up cans and growlers and crowlers and support the local breweries and the restaurants also, we'll make it through it. Some places, I don't know, those who are on the edge, I don't know what's going to happen. Now we have 115 breweries open in the state of New Jersey, and it's kind of crazy. Competition is like off the wall. So hopefully everybody will make it through, and we'll get through this, and the summertime will start, and we'll all be able to go out again.
And you know what, you brought up a valid point, and that is not only are the breweries certainly affected, that's our ball game, that's what we want to zero in on, but all the ancillary businesses. We have to consider the restaurants, and even in terms of our distributors here in the state, many of them have cut back drastically on the deliveries that they're making because the demand is just not quite there, is it? As people just aren't really getting out. I've also read, Mark, that sales of some of the mass marketed beers have increased, such as Budweiser, Coors, and there's probably a host of reasons. I'm going to get your spin on that, but someone said to me, well, I can go out and buy 2 cases of Budweiser for what it cost me to get a good case of craft beer. And this is a guy whose job is threatened.
Right, but that's always been the case, though. But of course, it was nice. People enjoy going to the breweries and getting it firsthand. And you get to meet people and you get to socialize and blah blah blah. But it's if you're looking for a cheap drunk, I suppose now, people have nothing else to do and to sit at home and watch TV, play with their children, whatever they're going to do. And so, if you want to save a few bucks, you can buy the cheap beer and sit at home and enjoy it. But, it's still, we need to keep the locals going here, So, I mean, Anheuser-Busch certainly doesn't need the money.
That's for sure. There are so many breweries in the state of New Jersey that have a lot of red ink that they're dealing with. Very heavily, I don't want to say in debt, but I guess that's probably is the best word to say. Companies
Right.
that are relying on sales, let's face it. And this is something that could be catastrophic for so many breweries. Now, does the time of year that this has happened, how is this? I mean, we're getting into the warm weather season here in southern New Jersey. There are festivals, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on as well. But could this be a worse time of year for this to strike?
Most definitely. I mean, well, unfortunately, it's extending into the summer from what they're saying. So,
Mhm.
now is the time that people would come out, after being in all winter, although it's been a really nice winter down here.
Mhm.
Um, so, now people can't go out. So that's the problem. I mean, and, they're talking about extending things into the summertime and not allowing places to open. I mean, they're not doing shore rentals here. They're not doing shore sales here. They're not doing a lot of things that where people would come down here to populate the breweries and the restaurants and the stores, and it's going to hurt everybody. So I don't know. It depends on how long this lasts, I suppose.
And we don't have that answer. Even Dr. Fauci doesn't have that answer. And I guess there's no more of an expert than that fella is. But you're right. I mean, that's a valid point. People want to get out. They're looking to go to breweries, go to events. And let's kind of zero in on that. I mean, we've seen so many festivals. We're coming up on festival season that have rescheduled. There is no lock to suggest that they're even going to take place at this point.
That's true. AC Beer Fest, which is the biggest one in New Jersey, um, and he had to put it into August, which is probably the worst time of year for anybody to go to a beer fest, actually, because all the hotels are already usually
Mm,
populated. All the people are already down here.
good point.
So, you have your influx of people are limited to what they can do because there's already a population here that's, crowding the cities. So
Mhm.
it's going to be a little tough for John, but I think in the end, people will show up. It may not be record breaking, but I think they'll all still come.
Good point. That you talk about AC Beer Fest, which would have taken place as we record this past weekend. It's a closed structure it's at the convention center. Is it conceivable that outdoor events may have a better chance of existing, depending on again the size?
Well, that's only if they withdraw the 10-person, 6 foot distancing, social
Hmm.
distancing. So outdoors might work a little bit better come the end of the summer. I know Wildwood is coming up, and a few festivals down that way. So they may make it if they can still happen, as long as we don't have to keep social distancing. It will be good for them.
Mm.
So we'll see, I suppose.
You're right, and that's exactly what they're saying. At social distancing, and there is the threat of it returning this fall. This
Right,
is an unknown area. We're exploring something that hasn't existed in our lifetimes.
right,
We just don't
right.
know how
Yeah,
this will play out yet.
yeah. We've been around a long time. I hate to say that, but
Well, we have.
and I personally have never seen anything like this. I just never thought that this. I mean, this is movie material here.
It is. It
So
is.
it's strange. That you'd think that this is a Hollywood movie right now.
With a bad scenario so far. The only sacrifice I made is I've stayed away from the razor for 3 weeks. I don't know. Maybe this is my quarantine look. I
I don't
don't know.
always.
There's no reason to anymore, for goodness
That's for
sakes.
sure. No place to go.
Writing for your publications, Mid-Atlantic Brewing News, especially where you have to keep up on what's taking place in the state of New Jersey. I don't know when your next column is due, but what do you see the effect of that?
Well, it just
Basically,
came out.
a
I
lot
guess
of
it
what you
just came out.
a lot of what you do is what it's online. You send questionnaires, I guess, or phone calls, or maybe even visits to
Right.
breweries.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I can visit the locals all the time.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I depend on email and text and things like that to get the info from those who wish to be included. Um, So, this time I had to rewrite I had my column all done, and I had to do a quick rewrite because of this coming down. So I believe it should be out just about now. I guess they delayed it for a week or two. So I had to change a lot of things. I tried to put in as much info as I could for times that the places were open, and maybe some new beers coming out, things like that. So, but it was cut back quite a bit.
I would imagine. You brought up new beers. This may not be the best time, or is it, to introduce a brand new beer?
No, that's true too. But places are doing it. Those who have canning ability, like Cape May, who's the big brother down here. They are making new beers and they're canning them.
They are.
Whereas where it was supposed to be a brewery only beer, they realized that it's going to sit for a couple of months and it might not make it. So they've been canning a lot of things that they wouldn't normally can. But there's really not much else to do. The boutique is still open. You can go and buy their beer and whatever, but and you can get it at liquor stores. But they're lucky enough to be able to do that, where some places don't have the canning ability right away, and they got to bring in a mobile canner, which is a whole other set of problems right now. So.
And you, I think, nailed it right on the head there. I think when you talked about companies that maybe are poised to ride this storm out, so to speak. Cape May certainly is one. I guess Flying Fish would be another, and be several others as well within the state of New Jersey.
Right. Yeah. So, a lot of them are making it. I mean, now, not filling old growlers is probably going to deplete the supply of growlers. So I'm not quite sure how quickly, the glass companies can catch up when time comes for that.
It's a whole domino effect.
Growlers.
It's just a whole domino effect, the way, we don't think of all these other businesses that are so adversely affected, but it's a whole chain of things.
Right. And shipping, of course, is a big problem now, because, people don't want stuff shipped in. People don't want them to come from other places. And, it's a whole can of worms right there alone, to try to get something shipped to you. So, even Amazon cut back on their shipping of stuff. So
that's true.
It's hard to figure out what you can get and when you can get it and where you can get it. So.
Good point. My special guest is my good friend, and I say that proudly, Mr. Mark Haynie, again, founding member of New Jersey Association of Beer Writers, a columnist for Mid-Atlantic Brewing News, where you can catch up on all the latest happenings within the state of New Jersey. And that is quite a task, because as you said, what, 115 breweries in the state now?
115 that are open now, and there are some on the cusp.
Yes, exactly. Wow, that's a whole other thing too. And of course, the beer guy from the Press of Atlantic City.